DLSU for me is more than just a school and more than just a place to learn. It's actually a community and a family for me.
It's really nice to be in a community where you can freely exchange your ideas with each other. And the university really supports you in the things that you love doing.
DLSU inspires me to really excel and stand out in both my academics and in sports. For me, it is my home because it molded me to becoming who I am today.
So my head says DLSU is the premier institution for Lasallian higher education in Asia. My heart says DLSU is the place that gave me all the chances to become a better person.
Our professors don't just lecture us and then we sit in class, listen. I think it's more than that. We actually go out and research. We're asked to find practical applications. We're asked to write research papers on how the things that we're learning can actually help solve some of the most pertinent issues.
When you do teaching and research at LaSalle, it's more than material values that matter. Virtues matter, ethics matter, integrity matters.
DLSU culture is inclusive. Ang mga estudyante rito ay nagmula sa iba't ibang antas ng lipunan at may iba't ibang karanasan. Ngunit sa kabila nito, mararamdaman mo na bahagi ka ng isang komunidad.
The biggest challenge that I faced was competing in the World Debate Championships in Turkey. We were able to really surmount the challenge was because the DLSU community was very supportive.
As a student athlete representing DLSU in the UAP is always special for me. It feels special in a sense that as the whole Lasallian community, we commemorate one special achievement throughout the season.
But I think that in LaSalle, there is a distinct debating culture, and that is basically winning with honor and making the game beautiful.
Makikita ang katangiang ito sa lahat ng mga samahan sa DLSU, gaya ng sports at iba pang organisasyong pang-estudyante.
DLSU culture strongly represents school spirit. I'm really proud to be part of the men's basketball team because I get to showcase my talents. I get to play for the school that I really love.
DLSU offers an education that is oriented also towards service. That's why in many of the subjects that are taught in DLSU, there is such a thing as orientation towards service learning.
DLSU is committed to nurturing a community of caliber students and professionals who are not just competent in the field of academics and research, but also people who are morally upright.
And the Lasallian community, I'm sure as it is today, was a very, very solid one. It's a very social community. They already encouraged us to do a lot of civic work around the neighborhood.
Sa pamamagitan ng iba't ibang mga scholarship at pinansyal na tulong, tunay na sinisikap ng DLSU na magbigay ng suporta, lalo na sa mga nangangailangan ng pangtustos sa pag-aaral.
It's trying to replicate the outside world within the university that best prepares us for the outside world with the guidance, of course, of our professors and the administration. So I think the future definitely begins in LaSalle.
I believe that students who graduate from De La Salle University are well-rounded individuals. They know how to strive under pressure and they can still deliver the work that they need to do.
Lasallians are globally competitive.
Kayang umarap ng mga Lasalliano sa makabagong hamon ng lipunan at makisama sa iba't ibang uri ng tao para matugunan ang mga problema na hinaharap natin.
Here in LaSalle, we are taught to be winners. Being a student here in LaSalle really opened up a lot of opportunities for me.
I invite you to consider your future, but know that DLSU has been at the forefront of making sure that the best future of our student begins in our classrooms, in our laboratories, in our campus, but extends into their future and into their lives.
So the truth is, if all you really want is a good education, I would happily recommend you to any of the top 10 universities in this country. But LaSalle is about something. It's about faith, service, and communion. And if you feel like you've got something to contribute to that Lasallian mission here in the Philippines, and also if you're willing to put in a lot of hard work, then there's a future here for you, and it can begin here.
Hello again, everyone, and we are back in our last series of afternoon activities. I hope you had a great lunch. Can I just see a thumbs up if the lunch is good and you enjoyed it? Ang taas. Very good. And I hope even our online participants, I hope that you were able to have a quick rest as we continue our afternoon session. We would like to invite everyone, especially those who are assigned in the plenary hall, if you can occupy the seats in front so our panel members and even the moderators can see you. And the other room for the concurrent session will be the conference room just beside this plenary hall. So at this point, kindly proceed to your assigned rooms for our concurrent session. I now give the floor to the moderator here at the plenary hall.
Hello, Philippines. Hello, world. Good afternoon and welcome to our concurrent session entitled Spiritual Reflection. I am Mia Borromeo from the Senior High School Department, and I am in front of you on behalf of Dr. Fides del Castillo, who is supposed to be your moderator this afternoon. Good afternoon once again, and welcome. So for this afternoon's session, may I call on our in-person presenters on stage, Mr. Renato de la Cruz and Dr. Isabel Lees. Please come up the stage to be recognized and for our Zoom participants to see you online. For this session, we have 4 sharers, 2 of whom are already in front of us, and the other 2 are from another time zone, Mr. brother, and also another from Ukraine. They will be joining us online, and we will listen to their sharing that has already been pre-recorded. I think our sharers are ready. Our first speaker will be talking about the pastoral circle as a framework for service learning. Sir Renato de la Cruz is presently the academic coordinator of the Theology and Ethics Department of Miriam College, at the same time the Service Learning Coordinator of the Higher Education Department. He was former head of Miriam Identity, Spirituality, and Mission, and to date, he has already taught theology and philosophy subjects for more than 30 years. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Renato de la Cruz.
Yes, Mike, good afternoon, everyone. So thank you for the privilege to present to you my study or this research, and the title is The Pastoral Circle as Framework for Service Learning. So this study explores service learning as direct experience of social justice and advocacy among students in their theology classes. The theology subject is Theology of Social Justice and Peace. So this is a way for our students to articulate their experience using the methodology of the pastoral circle. I'm pretty sure most of you, if not all, are maybe familiar with the pastoral circle, but for those who do not know it yet, so the pastoral circle is a framework. It's a methodology. So it's a framework for analyzing, reflecting, addressing, and maybe reflecting on social issues. And there are 4 moments or stages in this method or framework, which we call insertion, social analysis, theological reflection, and pastoral action. So the objectives of the study is basically to answer the following questions. How is the pastoral circle utilized? What are the themes that emerge at each moment in the pastoral circle based on the students' reflections? What changes or transformations, if any, take place within the student at each moment in the pastoral circle? So this is the conceptual framework. Of course, the students' application of the pastoral circle, and then the 4 moments or stages of the pastoral circle, and the changes or transformation in the students' knowledge and attitudes. So the methodology, content analysis, was used in examining students' reflection papers. Themes were extracted from each moment of the pastoral circle. 6 groups were selected in the theology of social justice and peace classes who implemented service learning. The students belong to different program departments like child development and education, business administration, psychology, leisure, and tourism management. The instrument used in this study is the written report component of the service learning project of the class submitted at the end of the semester. So the written report, as mentioned previously, is the articulation of the students' varied experiences and reflection patterned on the pastoral circle. So the data presentation and analysis, the data is analyzed by identifying the themes and commenting on the process of how the students experience each particular service learning moment as a group. So the group's insertion experiences show their initial learning of what is expected of them when they graduate. For example, practice their professional expertise in transforming society by uplifting the marginalized sectors of our society. Some groups are articulate in presenting their experiences with some mixture of reflections, and of course, others just settled on the factual dimensions of what they have experienced, meaning to say there's not much of a deep reflection. The social analysis of the 6 groups can be looked at in terms of in terms of 2 things: how they did the process and the conceptual realizations they arrive at. So almost all of them produce or reproduce beautiful theological concepts, but there's some kind of artificiality in the way they emerge. Social analysis. So for those who are again familiar with the cycle, the theological reflection is not an isolated moment of the pastoral circle, but actually it's still a form of analysis, but using the lens of faith or the dimension of faith. And then in the pastoral planning and action, of course, it was focused on helping the poor or the marginalized community by giving a piece of knowledge. This knowledge hopefully will change the economic situation of the concerned community. And of course, those of you who are familiar with the goals of service learning, this is actually one of the goals of service learning, that somehow those who are implementing service learning are able to move and be inspired to do something about the situations in the society within a particular sector or community. So in the paper or in the research, service learning is not just helping others, especially the less fortunate, but learning from them. Of course, that we achieve, so the concept of service learning. So it is not the usual outreach, it is not the usual community engagement that the students do, but rather it was, again, for them an opportunity to learn. It is educationally fruitful since it raises social awareness and advocates social justice, And many of them, of course, most of them, made this reflection that service learning is a way to serve God. So through their service learning, students gained a deeper understanding of the situation of the poor, lack of quality education, and the complexity of poverty in our country. And of course, that's very familiar and that's very evident in the social analysis part of their reflections or using. So other themes that emerge, of course, commitment and social involvement are essential dimensions of faith. So again, commitment and social involvement are essential dimensions of faith, and that social responsibility is a Christian duty and likewise a consequence of discipleship. So they are able to see the, what they call this, the connection, the relevance of what they are doing or what they have done in their service learning using the lens of faith. So there is a change among the students at the cognitive level and the way they try to grapple with the experience or experiences they had. They did what they could do to articulate what is expected of them using the framework of the pastoral circle. Of course, we also call it the pastoral cycle or the pastoral spiral. So some recommendations. The use of the pastoral circle as a framework for service learning should be integrated in all subjects or with all subjects areas, since the method is an effective way to our identity as a Catholic school. And then students need to be immersed in different groups, institutions, and organizations for them to be fully aware of the different social situations and of course, to be able to advance some, what they call this, important advocacy or advocacies. And the pastoral circle, likewise, can be institutionalized since it offers a holistic form of engaging students in the reflection process of their service learning experiences. So from insertion to social analysis to theological reflection and pastoral action. So again, they are not simply doing social analysis, but of course, the most important part, not just analysis and reflection, is the pastoral action part. So that's all, my friends, service learning colleagues, and thank you for listening, for pretending you were listening, and for not listening at all. That's my joke for this afternoon.
Thank you very much, Sir De La Cruz, for that presentation on the pastoral circle as a framework for service learning and as experience in Miriam College. We now proceed to our second sharer, who will be sharing on the theology of this art service learning experience. Our speaker is Dr. Yulia Bentoniv from the Ukrainian Catholic University in Ukraine. She will be presenting her paper virtually, present during the Q&A. At the moment, we will be listening to her pre-recorded sharing. She is a lecturer of the Department of Pastoral Theology and the project manager in the field of service learning methodology. Her research interests include phenomenology of experience, theological anthropology, and service learning methodology. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Yulia Bentoniv.